Happy Thursday, Allegra from Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, or BYWD. Welcome. I am not on at my usual time because I had an internet outage in my area. So here I am coming to you at the first possible moment. And if you have been following me, then you know that today I'm going to do my AM skincare routine for you so you can see me do it. And if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. If you want to, you can chat. I do see the comments, and if you have a question, I'm happy to respond to it. But I am a productivity and time management expert, specifically brain science based, because as a working mom, I just feel like we all need more time and energy. And I like to use that time and energy to prioritize myself because this might be controversial, but I believe that when you take care of yourself, it allows you to show up as the best possible version of yourself in all areas of life. And I just think the world would be a better place if we all took care of ourselves. And so I've really been leaning into self care. I'm doing what I'm calling a season of self care because the world is nutty. And if you're going to have enough energy to be the change you want to see in the world, then you need to take care of yourself. And so my season of self care is first going into skincare, which I've been talking about for a few weeks now. Then I'm going to talk about what you put in your body, so hydration and diet and supplements. Then I'm going to talk about movement. I'm going to talk a lot about fascia, which is maybe something you haven't heard about, but has been a real game changer in terms of keeping my body supple and moving the way I want to move into my fifth decade. And then I'm going to talk about relationships and friendships and how they are a form of self-care as well. So today is something like my third or fourth week. And by the way, there were a couple of episodes of this season of self-care where the video was grainy. It's not a big deal for the first one, which was all about these guys right here. If you're listening to the podcast, by the way, I do put this up as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And I did do an episode a few weeks ago called The 7 Steps for Glowing Skin. And if you hit this QR code right here, it will take you to a place where you can download the 7 Steps of Glowing Skin. You can also go to subscribepage.com, no W's, subscribepage.com/7steps and get that there. And so I'm going to re-record the second episode, the one that was all about all of the products I use, because I do think it's helpful to see the video. And if you're listening to the podcast, by the way, you can always see the videos on YouTube. Also, I believe Spotify shows you a video version of this podcast. But if you want to see this podcast, then you're going to have to look for the videos of it. Okay, so as always, I like to start by talking a little bit about what I've been reading this week. And by the way, my face is totally clean. This is actually the third time I'm doing my skincare routine today because I did it this morning and then I washed my face to do it for the podcast, but then I had no internet, so I had to put on skincare again, and then I just washed my face now. Okay, but just, if it's helpful to you, I am currently reading a book called Self-Care for the ADHD Brain, something like that. And it's written by a medical doctor who was diagnosed with ADHD, I think as an adult. And I'm reading it because sometimes I have people ask me questions about, well, will your tips work for me? I'm all about brain science-based tips. Will your tips work for me because I have ADHD? And here's what I'm finding with the self-care for ADHD. First of all, I've often wondered, I don't like labels. I think labels are lazy because if you want to get to know me, ask me a question. Don't rely on my labels. And I feel like I function well, so I don't need to know if I am neuroatypical. However, I also believe that no two brains are the same. I'm pretty sure our brains are like fingerprints where they're all different in slightly different ways. And so I have spent a lifetime trying to understand myself, trying to understand my brain, and figuring out habits that help me be the person that I want to be. And so what I'm finding with this book is that she recommends the same things I recommend. I feel like the main takeaway so far, I'm about halfway through the book. The main takeaway is self-care is even more important if you are neuroatypical, because a lot of these things will help to calm the symptoms that you experience from your brain. And so, I do a lot of these things already. So if the book sounds helpful to you, I'll put in the show notes. And yeah, the self-care tips she's giving, they're pretty much the same ones that you hear typically. Okay, so I'm going to dive right into my AM skincare ritual. And if you haven't listened to the other shows, just so you know, everything I do, all my products are eco-friendly, non-toxic, because that's just how I roll. I've only used eco-friendly, non-toxic products for, I don't know, maybe 30 years, going on 30 years. And I am going to be 52 this year, 2026, going to be 52. So my skincare needs might be slightly different than your skincare needs, just so you know. But skincare is a wonderful self-care ritual because for me, and again, going back to my brain, I have a very noisy brain. So doing skincare helps to slow me down, calm me down. And also too, all of this self-touch that you do when you're doing skincare releases all these positive brain chemicals that make you feel taken care of and nurtured, which is such a lovely way to start the day. Okay, so the first part of my skincare ritual is I light a candle. And this candle is coconut-based wax. The brand is called Hemlock Park. My favorite scent of theirs is rose, which there's a rose theme in my skincare because I love the scent of roses. But I actually used up. And so I had this other one, cucumber matcha, that I don't love. I might have to buy a rose one and not finish this one because it's a little too sweet for me. However, coconut wax, I love it because I actually put it on my skin, my hands at the end of my skincare routine, you'll see. But this also has a wood wick, which makes this really fun crackling sound. And so the first thing I do as my skincare ritual is I light my candle. So I'm going to do that right now. And after I light my candle, I don't know if you can hear maybe you can hear the crackle. Tell me if you can hear the crackle, people. Are you hearing the crackle through the camera? It makes this little like campfire sound. And then I hold the candle and I just think about, oops, I just blew my candle out. I just think about what kind of day I want to have. If I have any appointments or events happening, I will vision them going the way I want them to go. Take a moment to just be grateful for this moment right here in front of me. And I keep blowing it out because I'm not used to holding it this close to my mouth. Usually I'm holding it further away, but the microphone's right there. Okay, hold on. So I, have a moment of gratitude for the day and this moment and the opportunity to prioritize myself with this routine and take some deep breaths. And it's like, for me, it's almost like flipping a switch because it signals to my brain, now is a moment to take care of yourself and to be calm. And then the next thing I do is I turn on my skincare soundtrack. That's right. I have a skincare soundtrack, and I will put this in the show notes as well. I have a playlist that I created from songs that I purchased on iTunes by Diva Shanti. And I can't play them because it would violate the copyright. But it's a little bit of gongs. It's a little bit of environmental sounds like rain. And I just find it to be very, very calming. So I have that going, and that's really nice. And then I start my skincare routine. So the first thing that I do, now, by the way, in the morning, I actually do not wash my face. And I talk about this in the 7 Steps podcast, 7 Steps to Glowing Skin, why I don't wash my face. But so I'm just going to go straight into what I usually do, which is the first thing I do is I start with this fermented rice water toner from 100% pure. And by the way, if you grab this sheet, the 7 steps, it has the brands that I like the most listed. And I just put a couple squirts in my hand and then I just rub it all over my face. And it's really nice. And, you know, the point of toners is supposed to be for tightening, but I feel like it's very moisturizing and light. Okay. So you'll notice I start from really thin liquids, so easy to absorb, and then everything kind of gets thicker as we go. So now I'm going to move on to my morning serum, and I'm just taking a moment because there's so many things here and it's not in the usual place where it is. So I do this powder booster from True Botanicals that has niaminoside, which is a really nice healing. And you might see products with niaminoside in them, which are great, but my understanding is that the powder is more potent and active. And you have to dilute it with a water-based serum. So I use this ordinary growth serum, age support serum to help minimize and repair visible skin damage. So it's very watery, and so that helps to dilute a lot of the powder and, you know, kind of melt it. And then in this little bottle here, I have, maybe you can see it's a blue color. This is a ordinary, again, the brand is Ordinary, a copper peptide serum. And so I mix those 3 items together and put that on. Now, last week, if you heard me talking about how I came up with my skincare ritual, you know that, and you'll see that I'm kind of, you know, as there's moisture, as I'm able to kind of glide over my face, I do things to, you know, help stimulate blood circulation and also to loosen fascia. By the way, I'm going to talk a lot about fascia soon, but I do some fascia stuff because a lot of wrinkles, especially like the 11s, are because of tight fascia, where we keep making the same facial expressions. And so the fascia gets tight, and the fascia is actually what's holding the muscle in place. And so by releasing the fascia, by like giving yourself a facial massage, it allows these tight muscles, tight fascia to go back to a neutral position. So I talked last week about how one of the ways that I've made my skincare ritual fun for me is by using these cute little perfume bottles, which my dad started giving to me at a young age. And I don't wear perfume, so I never had anything to do with them. But now I get to use them for my skincare routine, which is fun. Okay, so serum, done. Okay, so the next step is a moisturizer. And I like this bakuchiol one from 100% Pure. And bakuchiol is a plant-based retinol alternative. And sometimes you want to shake up your moisturizers to make sure that they're fully blended. So just a couple drops. And I do put it on my neck and my, okay, I don't speak French. So what's the term? Décolletage. Because, you know, it's all getting exposed to sun and air, and it has a lot of environmental exposure, so potential for environmental damage. So I want to help support it all being healthy. By the way, I switch. Some days I use this moisturizer, which is Bloom Effects Tulip Dewdrops. I really love how this product feels, and I just switch off from day to day because I like them both and I don't feel the need to layer them up, but I just switch from day to day. So that was a technique that I learned from the founder of this company, 100% Pure. She actually she has 3 days. She has like a brightening skincare day. She has a hydrating skincare day. And then she has a antioxidant skincare day. And so it's kind of like Monday and Thursday she does brightening, and Tuesday and Friday she does hydrating, and then one of those the other days are the antioxidants, and then one day is kind of like a neutral day. So if you have multiple things that you're working on in your skin, you can divide it up that way. And I have found that to be helpful, and I've seen overall improvement in my skin by doing this. Okay, the next step is a little bit more of a, sorry, I have the my nighttime stuff here. Oh, right, my eye butter. This is from Keys, and I love this product because it's also a great, just kind of, if you want to pack really light, like if I'm going on a camping trip, sometimes I'll just bring this and I'll skip this moisturizer because it's really, really rich and it's super tiny, and it has great ingredients like cucumber and avocado oil and black seed oil. So it's kind of a good overall moisturizer if you need something small and easy. And then I'm going to put on a balm, which this is a brand called Freya Organics, and it is completely solid, which makes it really easy to travel with, you see. And it has this slightly orange tint to it, which I don't know how it works. I mean, it's a Norwegian brand, I believe. So I guess it works fine on lighter skin tones. On my skin tone, it just kind of gives me a slightly, I don't even know if you can see on screen, but I feel like it gives me a slightly sun-kissed look. I'm not sure if it would even show up on a darker skin tone. So don't be afraid of the orange. It's not anything overwhelming. And again, in between, while I'm letting things absorb, I'll do a little bit of, you know, the fascia, the face workout, face yoga. There's all sorts of moves you can do that I've done over the years to, you know, build certain muscles and release other muscles. Face yoga is a whole nother thing, but if you want to check it out, check it out. But the best way I find to do face yoga is in between the steps so that you have time to let things soak in. Okay, and then my final step to my AM routine is my sunscreen. And this is actually a blend of 3 products. So the True Botanicals product, I really like the beneficial ingredients in it, like the vitamins and nutrients in it. And then I add the Suntegrity sunscreen, which has a tint to it that helps to make it more almost like a BB cream, but just this has a slightly white cast, so it helps me blend it better on my skin. And then this Kinship sunscreen has just a little bit of like a pearly essence, which just kind of gives me this nice dewiness. So you can see I'm already looking pretty dewy, but this is going to make me look even dewier. By the way, Suntegrity only has 3 skin tones. And by the way, it's not super pigmented. So it's very forgiving in terms of different skin tones. However, they only have 3. And I have a friend who it didn't work for her. And so I helped her find this brand called SAIE. And they have a product called Slip Tint, which feels like it's the same thing, but they have like 20 colors. So that would be a great one to use instead of Suntegrity. So I just mix it all in this bottle. And the nice thing too is, like, depending on if it's summer versus winter, you can add a little more tint or a little less tint, depending on if you are changing colors, depending on the season. Okay, so here we go. You see it has kind of a beigeish color that looks like it matches me really nicely, and I just put it all over. There we go. And I don't know if you think I look a little bit dewier. And oh, I forgot. I do have one other step. My final step. Oh, wait. No, not my final step. Two more steps. I use this eyebrow and eyelash supporting product called the Eye Balm. It's from Skin Balm Apothecary. So I wear contact lenses, and the peptide eyelash and brow products that I found, you had to put them on and let them dry for a certain amount of minutes before you could put on your contact lenses. And that just didn't work for my schedule. So when I found this and I didn't have to wait before I put on my contacts, I really liked it. And also too, I kind of like that it helps to provide some shape to your brows because it's a little bit sticky. So it kind of puts them in their place. So you just rub it on, and I've been using this product now for about a year, and I have seen a difference in terms of my eyebrows look a little bit thicker, especially at the ends. You know, I feel like the hair gets patchier towards the ends. So you can see, I mean, I don't have any makeup on or anything. You can see I have pretty much a full shape. So I have seen a benefit from it. Do you recommend it? Okay, and then the final step is my skin barrier step. And this skin barrier step is all about, you wash your face and your pores are open and you're putting on all of these kind of like vitamins and nutrients to help support it. And then you're hydrating it with the moisturizer. And then with the thicker creams, you're hydrating slash protecting your skin barrier. And then the oils are fully protecting the skin barrier. And the whole idea is that you want to protect against the environmental damage, the factors that can cause damage to your skin, by sealing your skin barrier with something good. And so this is like jojoba oil and argan oil. It's some custom blend that I made. I don't think it's super, there's so many good oils out there. I think also marula oil might be in there. I've used a bunch of different oils. Look for oils that say they support the skin barrier and have ceramides in them. That's the most important thing. I actually really liked, this company had a product that I really liked, but they stopped their product. So these are just some single oils that I blended together, and voila. So I just talked through my whole skincare ritual. It probably took about 15 minutes with all the talking that I did. I do my AM ritual in less than 10 minutes. I would say 5 to 7 minutes. My PM ritual, which I'm going to do next week, is slightly longer because I do a couple of steps that I don't do in the morning. Some of them having to do with the fascia, like this little tool. I'll show you how to do it. Some of them having to do with this red light therapy that I do at night. So there are some steps that I do in the night that are different. Oh yes, and then if it's a normal morning, I will say thank you for this moment and a few other thoughts to myself about having a great day, and then I will blow this out. And sometimes I will just dip my finger into this coconut wax and rub it on the back of my hand, and then just a little extra moisture, skin protection for my hands, because they do get a lot of abuse as you go out through your day. So it's nice to have that little extra. And that is my AM skin ritual. So it doesn't take a lot of time, but it leaves me feeling taken care of and loved and nurtured, because I took care of myself. My best friend. This body that carries me. I mean, I don't want to think separately about my brain and my body, but I know sometimes it can feel like they're separate, but I'm taking care of myself, and that feels really nice. And I feel nourished and nurtured and loved. And now I'm ready to go about my day. So, in a little bit, I'm actually going to do a recording where I go through all of these products to make up for the one that had the bad video a couple weeks ago. And then next week, I am going to do my PM skincare routine. So, thank you for joining me. And if you haven't had a chance, go to subscribepage.com/7steps and you can get the 7 steps for glowing skin thingy that is in this QR code right here if you click on that. Thank you so much for joining me. And remember,